3.5s out there. I was talking about how I don't like laying 3.5s. Actually, laying 3.5s on the road has been pretty profitable the past couple years, but that's neither here nor there. We're here to get your handicap of the game. Josh, this is one of the big ones in the NFL this weekend. Are you in on this, and are you confident in your side or total if you are in on this?
I think, I don't know. There was a lot of talk about how good Miami was, obviously, but I think that same conversation needs to be had with Baltimore. And just sometimes we just always forget what happened in previous weeks when we're looking. We're so week 4 focused sometimes. I mean, let's go back. Baltimore beat Joe Flacco in week 1. Okay, that doesn't really move the needle for me. They blew 35-14 lead with 200 seconds left in week 2. Okay, maybe they're not the best team in the division. They gave up 320-yard passing yards to Mac Jones, which was the most he's ever thrown for since week 5 of last year, and it wasn't even a healthy Mac Jones. So, I mean, this is a team that is, I mean, these terms of fraudulence and like what we were saying about some 3-0 teams and 2-1 teams. I'm not sold on Baltimore. Don't get me wrong. Lamar Jackson, legit MVP, but this team has given up over 1,000 yards passing and now has to face the number 1 offense in success rate. This is going to be a very tough matchup. And I mean, I like the 3. I like Buffalo here a lot. The only thing pushing me off, obviously, is the litany of injuries that Buffalo came out with today. Knox, Poyer, Mitch Morse, Ed Oliver. Those are 4 sections of each section on the offensive line, in the pass catching side, the defensive line, and in the secondary. So there are issues there. And we saw that the strength of this Baltimore team is obviously with Mark Andrews in the passing game there. I think it's about a 36% target share, which is bananas for a tight end. But he'll also go up against Matt Milano, who is probably the best coverage linebacker in all of football. So I like the strength of the Buffalo defense, nullifying obviously the strength of that offense. Rashad Bateman's going to have a massive day, I think, with that thin secondary. First in yards per catch, first in yak per catch, fourth in yards per target. Game script could definitely go in his favor. Like the 3, like Bateman to go over 60 for sure. And I would even ladder him to 85, 90 to 100.
The weather right now is a disaster. I mean, they got gusts in the 40s. We don't know exactly what the weather is going to be right now. So to me, I hit that Josh Allen over passing yards right when it came out at 282, and I'm actually a little uncomfortable. Is the weather just not in capping this one for you, or is it something you just can't control and you're going to go bet it anyways?
I just think if there's a quarterback in the league to bet against bad weather, to bet with bad weather, it's probably Josh Allen. He has the arm strength to throw into the wind more so than anybody. I think it's probably in Buffalo's favor with Allen at quarterback versus Lamar at quarterback. I understand, obviously, the worry within that prop, and handicapping these games, you always get so deep involved, and then they're like, by the way, 16-mile-an-hour winds, and like, oh, yeah, sweet. Good thing I did 50 minutes of research. Yeah. But no, I think I got lucky there in saying that I do think Josh Allen is one of the very few weatherproof quarterbacks, I think. And obviously from where he plays, I think this will be another walk in the park.
My Dallas Cowboys at home this weekend to face the Washington Commanders. I'm always very skeptical when it comes to betting on the Dallas Cowboys.
Poor Carson Wentz.
Yeah, particularly in a spot like this. But you did mention poor Carson Wentz. He's the most sacked quarterback this year. The Dallas Cowboys, Dan Quinn, obviously going to bring that pass rush. Dallas doesn't lose NFC East games, but I'm still not comfortable enough to lay a number with the Cowboys without Dak Prescott this week. And I'm not even a Dak Prescott guy, Josh. I'm just like, man, this feels like a good spot to fade the public. I'm not going to bet against my Cowboys. Curious of your take on the matchup.
Yeah, this game will be determined by what happens at the point of attack for Dallas. I mean, everybody's talking about Parsons, but I was sitting there with a Parsons sack ticket last week.
I know.
And I didn't get it all game. I couldn't get it. I had a Zeke touchdown, Dallas win, and a Parsons sack boost, and I just couldn't get it. I sat there and watched DeMarcus Lawrence eat up every sack, and that's just what happens when Parsons on the other side. And now we have a Washington offensive line where their two tackles, their left and their right tackles, were limited or DMP early in the weeks. They're going to probably play this week, but I mean, they're not healthy. And guard to center to guard, this is one of the worst offensive lines in the middle three. I mean, if they can generate a pass rush up the middle, no one's beating Parsons on an outside move. They have to double over to Parsons. They have to chip with the tight end. It's just not a good system. And now the calls we had with Carson Wentz in week 1 and week 2, where we're like, who is this guy? Are we finally selling the boats for Carson Wentz here? He's turned it over. No, this is more indicative of, I think, what Carson Wentz is. And I think that the number is funny, and everyone's sitting there. They're saying, how is this number where it is? 3. I mean, this is the same Dallas team that was with Cooper Rush. There was a 7.5 home dog to Cincinnati. This was a team that was an underdog in the Meadowlands last week. So the books aren't really moving the line. Obviously, a massive amount. It's in line with what the Cooper Rush stats was. But, Corey, you saw game 1 with Dak Prescott. This is more of a personnel issue with that team. They didn't look great in week 1 with Dak, and they've just been pretty vanilla with Cooper, and I think that's a pretty good system if he can avoid turning over the ball. I like the 3. I wouldn't play the 3.5, and I think I'm probably 90% of the public in saying that exactly where that line is, and we're not seeing it moving another way.
What's your best bet? I'm not screwing around anymore. I want to know what you're on here. What are you feeling most comfortable about?
Oh, God. I love that Bateman over 60.5. Bateman over 60.5 is huge. I love the matchup there. I think Breece, I think it's his backfield in New York now. Breece Hall, it was the first game he actually took more of the snaps than Michael Carter. And it's the shortest game that the Jets have been all year, meaning the game script will hopefully be in his favor, and there should be a neutral a pace of play within that game, keeping him hopefully in the rushing game. But even not, I think he's so game script proof. If he hit his over 60.5 total yards, I just love it. I know how conservative they're going to be with Zach Wilson under center. The KC Tampa Bay game, KC might not even have a kicker. They released their kicker, and Butker's still like limited at practice, and their special team coach is just, he doesn't know what's going to happen. And if you were holding on to KC last week, ooh boy, you know that kicking's important even when you're the Chiefs, because I was on the other side and it was awful watching Amendola try to kick a ball, or just Andy Reid just bypass it. Obviously no player kicking props right now, but there are markets that are open. Under 65.5 longest field goal in that game. Ryan Suckup is not a leg that can get that deep. Just 5 kicks of 50 or plus yards over the last 4 seasons. He's made 1 of them. I mean, who doesn't want to hit a New Orleans team total under? It's moved to 18.5.
They're not going to score 20 points.
The other one is, guys, and this was at 28.5 right when the news came out. The Lions team total was 28.5.
Nice.
I mean, no Swift, no Amon-Ra. Are you kidding me? That ain't happening, guys.
Hawkinson hasn't been healthy, and he hasn't practiced like in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I actually like the Seahawks as the contest pick this week. That number's already down at 3.5. I got it at 4.5. That number's coming in. Josh, I want to circle back to the Bateman thing, right? You see, I look at it like this. It's 2 teams that stick out to me: the Baltimore Ravens and the New England Patriots. They do a poor job of developing wide receivers. And I know everybody likes Bateman. They like the talent. Obviously, Lamar and what that offense is able to do can get you excited. But, man, I have a hard time playing over with Bateman because, like, the offense just don't generate like that unless it's like the weapon is Andrews and Jackson and maybe some Duvernay. I would rather go Duvernay than Bateman. I'm not a big Bateman guy.
Yeah, and it was the same thing with Hollywood Brown too when he was there. It's just kind of a role. It's not more or less the skill of the player. It's just a wide receiver 1 role in an offensive system where there's a spy constantly on Lamar. Mm-hmm. There's a safety and a chip on Mark Andrews on every passing and every route ran. It's just a great spot. And now we have a wide receiver whose yak is phenomenal and who can get the ball downfield. It's probably, he's not going to end up with 8 catches, Core. That's the thing, right? So if you're hitting this play, he's going 4 and 80.
You're looking for the big play,
or he's going 2 and 12. Yeah, it's kind of an all or nothing. But I do like the game script. The weather does scare me. The matchup with, I don't know, Poyer's out. Poyer could be out. That's a big thing. Dane Jackson's a little beat up. There's a lot of arrows pointing up, but don't get me wrong, that weather and Lamar passing is one that push a few of them down.
It's definitely uncomfortable. You get Bateman at what, 45 and a half? It's up to 47 and a half now, but PointsBet actually has some good later in the week props. They don't post their props, and I think they just try and get some money in there, and they usually give you a 2 or 3 yard edge on a lot of these props. So I highly recommend checking them out. By the way, I'm not getting paid by them, so I'm just bringing it up, guys.
Yeah, that's all good.
So here's my favorite bet of the week, and just if you think it sucks or you see some holes, you want to poke in it, by all means. Courtland Sutton over 67 and a half. It is tough to trust Russell Wilson in this offense right now, but this is a guy that, he has a floor of getting targeted, 8-9 times a game. Russell Wilson's just looking at him. This Raiders defense is kind of a mess. And if there's one guy in the passing game that you could trust, it's going to be Courtland Sutton. He's got a reception over 30 yards every game. You can look at that and say, wow, that's probably not sustainable. I think we got another big play coming out of him in this game. That'll be my favorite bet of the week, guys. And by all means, throw your favorite bets out there. But Courtland Sutton for me is going to be the play.
No, only Jalen Waddle with an extra game in hand has more catches, 30 plus yards than Sutton.
Air yards.
And the cool thing about this is you're betting on probably what is the worst Russell Wilson you've seen.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't honestly think he can get worse. And what are we sitting? Almost like a 28% target share in a defensive structure that we know is going to give Denver the ball often.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a great play, and I honestly couldn't find a hole to fit in, because I think what we see from Wilson is the bottom of the barrel, and he's already exceeding this, so the ceiling is much higher right now.
I hope you're right.
You think you think he'd be worse?
I hope he's not washed. And I'm here in Denver. By the way, that line is back down to 66 and a half. It's been vacillating between 66 and a half and 70 and 67 and a half. I've seen a 70 and a half too. So 66 and a half is a good number. I see a 69 and a half, but man, Corey and I talked about this. Russell Wilson looks extraordinarily uncomfortable. He didn't look great at the end of his Seattle tenure. I'm just holding my breath, hoping that, Hackett doesn't ruin this guy, and this guy still has something left. We saw it in one drive in the fourth quarter. He does that against the Raiders. They're going to have a big day. He doesn't. There's going to be full on panic here in Denver.
Yeah, I've lost a lot of money on Russ failing to cook so far. Early betting, halftime betting. I mean, because you're looking at the halftime numbers, looking at the first half numbers, you're like, these guys are moving the ball 7-8 yards per clip here. They're good. That was the game they fumbled twice on the one. I mean, I think they had 13 of their 18 drives after week 3 went inside their opponents. They ended up with 3 punts, 3 turnovers, and just 2 touchdowns. It's so you're there in Denver now. How much of the media is now focusing its attention on the pitchfork versus Nathaniel Hackett to now the pitchforks are getting put towards Russell Wilson?
I think that most of the blame is on Hackett still.
Yeah.
Still.
Because he's getting paid to be the head coach and he's the offensive coordinator. So that to me is the biggest issue right now. And then they sold so much excitement this offseason. Hackett gets, we're going to be great. Russell gets in here. Let's ride. We're going to be great. New ownership, the Waltons, the richest owners. We're going to be great. And then they are 2-1. But boy, this offense is stuck in the mud.
Hackett never played or called plays before in his life, right?
No, he did one year. A couple of years. Was it Jacksonville, I want to say? He did call plays for a couple of years. Yeah, it was with Bortles. But he just looks like a deer in the headlights. And I do wonder if this team does go into a little funk, if they're 2-2 or 2-3, they drop a couple of these games. If things start getting a little tense in that locker room, because right now everything's fine. They've won 2 of the 3 games.
I think watching them go in and out of huddles is a really awful thing that I'm watching, and that's on Wilson. You're watching them break with 8 seconds left on the play clock, and it's just so frustrating. Week 3, I think they had 4 delay game penalties. 2 of them were inside the 5.
Some of that's on Hackett too, though. Some of
getting
that
the play in,
getting the
absolutely
plays in late. But yes, you're right. Wilson gets out of the line of scrimmage late too. Both of them have had problems with that.
Yeah, and I mean, you're there. I mean, why are we still giving the ball to Melvin Gordon, bruh? Like,
you want to know why? Because they don't want Javonte Williams having 300 regular season touches, and they, you got to get to the postseason. But too many of these guys are broken down. I can't stand the fact that Melvin Gordon fumbles so much, and that might be his denouement, the downfall of Melvin Gordon. But he is a productive running back. He's great at the goal line. But yeah, I get it. If you're a fantasy player, or you just have eyes, you can see Javonte's a more explosive player. But there does need to be a role for Melvin Gordon, because you don't want to run Javonte into the ground.
And I'm very. It's funny. The more you watch, the more you see people's game plans. We saw with Zach Taylor, he was very content with just running into a wall last night. He's like, yeah, we can pass for first down 9% of the time, but I'm just going to run Joe Mixon into my right guard 24 times on prime time. But we saw out there in Denver, game 2 or week 2, you get Williams out in space in the passing game. He was unstoppable.
Yeah.
Then as like a prop better, I'm like, okay, that's what they're doing. Hackett finally found a groove. You hammer him on his passing prop, and now he's just getting all the rushing touches, and they don't even go back to the passing game with him. It's frustrating.
Nah, definitely.
Yeah, but that's the other thing, Corey. It's driving me nuts. All he does is dump it down.
That's
it's great for Javonte receptions, but
that's the Hackett offense. It's the running backs and the tight ends.
Yeah.
So
checking it down.
And it's poor play in the red zone. So interesting to see. That's a big game this weekend in that AFC West between the Broncos and the Raiders. Before we get you out of here, I want to ask you about this one. Keep it in the AFC South this time, Josh. Both these teams trying to hit their stride to get going again. 1-1-1 for the Indianapolis Colts, 1-2 for the Titans. Both teams coming off of much-needed victories last week. Now they got a big game in Indianapolis. Colts laying 3.5, despite the fact that Tennessee wins in Indianapolis all the time. To me, this is an easy play to Tennessee, but everybody else seems to like the Colts.
They won't like the Colts after this week if they lose. I think everybody was gung-ho on the Colts. You saw all the sharp money move that opening season total win from like 9 to 9.5. Some were touching 10. And then we were like, yeah, Matt Ryan is an upgrade. And then we see Matt Ryan, and it's not an upgrade.
Like, oh, we fooled again.
Yeah.
We thought Carson Wentz was an upgrade. We thought Phil Rivers was an upgrade. Who they gonna have next year? Sam Darnold's an upgrade.
poor Frank Wright in that offense. I really don't. I don't think the numbers right now on Matt Ryan. I don't think it's just because of a small sample size. He's sandwiched between Flacco and Trubisky right now in CPOE and EPA. The composite at running backs don't matter. This is just a guy. I mean, just like Denver, there wasn't a team that I was so high on coming in this year that I lost so much money on than the Colts. And for the same reasons, they moved the ball so well. They just self-destructed in the red zone. 11 of their 23 drives to start the season after week 3 went inside the 40. 17 points, 4 turnovers, missed field goal. They punted inside the 40 once. This is a surrender index team of 99% sometimes, and Matt Ryan can't play from behind the sticks. And once you get Jonathan Taylor in the question, I don't even know what he's chugging to right now, but I don't think he's dominating. I think he did one good week versus a Houston team, and I don't remember anything in week 2 or 3 from him. I think the fade on Tennessee waving the white flag in Buffalo is in people's mind more so than how poorly Indianapolis has played. And I think that might have something to do with Corey, you saying everybody wants to jump on the Colts here. I think Tennessee's a better team right now. it is a tough one. I'm also speaking on a point that I've been burned so much by the Colts that I could just be vindictive here. But sure, Tennessee's my side here.
Hey, go ahead, Josh. Sure, why not? Derrick Henry, woo.
Sure, anything. Like Ryan Tannehill's not a bad, like he doesn't have many weapons right now. I get that. Like, but I don't know. Is it a better defense? We'll put the defense on par. I'm taking 3.5 points in a game that I see as more 50-50, and the max you're giving me for home field is probably 1.5 points these days. So you're still 2 points long.
No doubt about it. All right. Hey, Josh, I appreciate you, my man. Thanks a lot. My man, Josh English, covers.com. Hey, Josh, good looking out. Enjoy the weekend, brother.
Yeah, will do. I'll try to upgrade my videos so maybe I can get my face next to you, handsome gentleman, up here next time. But you guys enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your bets. Yeah. Don't double down on any bets, and don't tilt. And we'll have a good weekend, gentlemen. Have a good one.
Hopefully I'm not betting on. Yeah, hopefully I'm not betting on Hawaii tomorrow night. You know what I'm saying?
Don't tilt. It's impossible for me not to tilt. It's what I enjoy most about it.
All right, let's get ready. We'll head out, take one last break. When we come down, shut it down for the weekend. Hand it over to Finsty and Ronis. It is Corey Nando and Friends, presented by Mayo Media, right here on BSN.
Done better. Better Sports Network. It's sports talk done better.
You can't be happy if you're a fan of Denver right now. I know they're 2-1. They look horrendous, man.
Well, how about this player? I almost put him in, and then last second took him out, figured I'd give him another week. What about Javonte Williams? Would he be a trend down type of player at this point? He's still getting the carries. He's running all right. He's just not scoring. That's the problem. And the big thing is when you look at his production from a total basis, 11 passes week one? It was a lot.
I think you stay the course with him. I know, again, people are so frustrated. Guys, why are you surprised, man? We all know Javonte Williams is the best player in that backfield. It's clear. But people who play fantasy need to understand and I said this before the year, there are certain players that coaches love. Melvin Gordon is one of those players. Is he as dynamic, explosive? No. But he does a lot of the little things that coaches love. Those guys are going to get their touches. You have to understand that. So should Javonte Williams be the main back? Yeah. And we've started to see it shift a little bit. I know you're frustrated because Gordon got the touchdown, but I don't know why you're surprised by this. They told you this before the year. It was more like 50-50 last year. It's not now. You can't sit here and complain about it. Like, you act like this came out of nowhere. I can't believe Melvin Gordon is playing snaps.
You're not talking about me, are you?
No. Anyone who is sitting there and is just stunned that Javonte Williams is not getting, like, all these snaps. Now, could it get better as the season goes along and they start to go, you know what? Javante's more explosive. We need him on the field now. I mean, they're 2-1, okay? So that's the problem with some of these teams that win games. They think, oh, we won, so everything is good. Well, let's look at the snaps. So Javonte Williams played 33. Melvin Gordon played 28. The biggest problem is Mike Boone played 14. That I don't get. Javonte Williams and Gordon each ran 13 routes. Boone, 11. 5 targets for Williams, 6 for Melvin Gordon. Javonte had 15 carries, Gordon 12. Javonte Williams had 20 looks. So he had 15 carries, 5 targets, and he caught 3 passes. So he had 18 touches. You're going to complain about a running back getting 18 touches? Come on, man. He's better than Melvin Gordon, no doubt. But Javonte's not getting 35 touches. They had the ball a lot last night. Does it suck that they took him out near the goal line? Absolutely.
Straight eye formation. They hand it up to Gordon, running left. Gordon into the end zone. Touchdown, Denver.
This is not anything shocking here.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com. Better Sports Network. It's sports talk. Call, chat, and enter contests in real time. It's Sports Talk 3.0 with Better Sports Network.
All right, a little bit of racetrack left to go. Corey Parson holding the cushion, holding it down. Corey Nando and Friends, presented by the Mayo Media Network. Sound like a little Michael Jackson going on in the background or something like that, but like the generic version. You know what I'm saying? Like the non-copyright version. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Pull it off. Just come up with a beat that sounds similar. There's a lot of good free music out there, my friend.
The JV version right there. Holden, you've been broadcasting for a long time. You know what I'm saying? And I've been type of dude been listening to sports radio for a long time. One time in DC, I called to yell at you when you was on the fan in DC. You were making fun of the Dallas Cowboys, and you hung up on me. You know what I'm saying? And
you told me that we were at a draft years ago, and you're like, "Hey, man, I used to call your show," and you hung up on me. I'm like, "What's new?" Do you know how many people have told me that? And I don't do it anymore, Corey. But I've been I just did the math. I've been doing this 27 years, man. It's a long time. So I've hung up on hundreds, if not thousands, of people. So you should take that as a badge of honor. He's gone. Does that mean I'm talking now? Corey, come back. Corey, come back. He's just frozen. What are we going to do? What do we got? Fancy coming up next. I wish Fancy be on here. All right. Listen, I got to get out of here in 4 minutes because I got Run Pure coming up. But let me just run down some of the injuries. Hopefully we'll get we'll get Corey back on here before the end of the show, and then we'll get out of here because he hung up on me. Is that what he did? I hung up on him. So Corey, all these years later, decided to hang up on me. Jalen, I think you're right. Jalen in the chat, I think you're right. I think he was getting me back for hanging up on him, I don't know, 10 years ago. Some people just, they hold their grudges and yeah, that's our producers are saying that too. They're like, totally. He's holding a grudge. He's like, screw it. You do the last 5 minutes by yourself. Corey Parsons. I mean, my friend, you got to let it go. You got me back good though. There's no doubt about it. Corey got me back very, very good for that one. But before we get out of here, come on. What do you really think the chances are that he hung up on me? Yeah, I think he did. So let me just get you the injuries. I think you need to know this stuff before if you still haven't laid any wagers yet, you're getting ready to do that. Fantasy football fans, AJ Dillon's looking healthy. He's off the injury report. Alan Lazard's coming back and Christian Watson. So there's going to be a full wide receiver room for Aaron Rodgers here with Dobbs, Lazard, Watson. We got Keenan Allen out. So again, it's a natural teaser for me. Get the 11.5 on the Texans, get the 8.5 on the Broncos. And that's going to be at about minus 120. And I think you'll be feeling pretty good about yourself there. But that's another big loss for Justin Herbert with that fractured rib cartilage. There he is. Did you hang up on me just because you had a grudge?
No, I don't have.
That's what we were saying, Corey. You talk about me hanging up on you, and then you just leave.
I would never do that. I don't get down like that. You know what I'm saying? No, I thought it was fun. That, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You was able to, you did the regular sports talk, and then you got into the fantasy and the betting and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So it shows good longevity. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, try it. You got to reinvent yourself. You have, I'm sure, a million times. You got to reinvent yourself because you'll get left behind if you don't. I was just talking about injuries when you were gone. Just a couple other quick ones. You'll get your boy Michael Gallup back this week. I'm sure you're excited about that. Dalton Schultz is questionable, so he's trending at least the right direction. Then no Swift and no Amon-Ra for Detroit, and Mac Jones is out. So
yeah, Mac Jones is out with some kind of injury. I'll be right there. I had to turn my light. I had to get the lights going back in here. You know what I'm saying? Nah, you know what I'm saying? They said it could be spotty with the internet. You know what I'm saying? And we get right to the internet, bam. You know what I mean?
You should have just said it was a grudge, and it would have been the best.
Yeah, it would have been cool. That would have been like, I got you back. That would have been great. They'd be like, what's wrong with this kid?
Listen, and I talked to Deutsch about this. I got to get out of here in a minute. But me and Pilar, Sundays from 5 to 8. We'll be doing the late games. We'll be previewing the Sunday night game. We'll talk about the Monday night game too. I'd love to get you on the show too, to catch up with you, talk to you, get some of the thoughts too. But that'll be the next time I'm on the Bettor Network, Sunday, 5 to 8 Eastern.
No doubt. After us, Bettor Zone part 2. How'd it go last week? Wrapping up on the Bettor Zone, getting those late games in. You know what I'm saying, and taking us all the way up to football night.
I had to twerk for Pilar because Kyler Murray wouldn't run.
Oh man, I'm glad I didn't see.
Well,
that.
Hopefully she loses the bet this week because that'll be a lot more fun to watch.
Yeah, that one right there, we can tape that one. But if it's you know what I'm saying?
No, this is not good. It's not what you need to see.
Hey, What's some share me some of your props that you got for this weekend?
Boy.
You got anything with Nick Chubb? Because I'm looking at that game with Cleveland and Atlanta.
I'm just pulling up. This is just DK. Lockett over 5.5 receptions. I got a Broncos, Courtland Sutton over 65 yards, Broncos plus 3.5. So an alt line there. I got that at plus 215. Clyde Edwards-Helaire under 3.5 receptions. Courtland Sutton over 67.5. Zach Ertz over 4.5 receptions. Justin Field under 23.5 pass attempts. So there's a million. Corey, by the end of the week, I'm a volume better. I'll probably have about 50 player props.
Yo, hold on. The prop for Justin Fields attempts is what?
23.5.
You can put your house on that, bro.
Well, I did. Well, I didn't put my house on it.
It's time. The probably wouldn't be, but that right there, that's going to cash. They only attempt about 15 passes a game.
There's nothing. There's nothing is sure, but that feels like a good one.
Because if I'm not mistaken, he complete about 8 passes a game. That's a good one, right?
No,
it's not. No,
good. Let me see if it's still there at DK. Yeah, it just moved from 15 to 20. So you can still get that at DK under 23.5 pass attempts.
That's excellent right there. I'm going to make sure I get that one. See, my thing is I'm in South Carolina where I'm still going off. I have to go offshore. So I lived in New York. I had to do the back and forth to Jersey thing or go offshore. And then I moved down here. New York gets better, and now I got to go offshore because I can't make it to New Jersey now. You know what I'm saying?
I got to go offshore right now. I got to get over to Run Pure, buddy. It was great catching up with you, though. I really enjoyed it, Corey.
No doubt. Go ahead and do your thing.
It was fun.
Definitely appreciate you. You know what I'm saying? Everybody have a good weekend out there. Finsty and Rona's coming up coming up next right here on the Better Sports Network.
Better Sports Network is betting, fantasy, collectibles. It's sports talk done better.